Thank you for tuning in to the Peoplz and Dragons. If you enjoy the content we provide, then subscribe, like, and maybe join in on the action at www.pndrpg.com.
Haven City. An ugly city. Episode 4. New Nebu. The junky remains of a destroyed Gorgon android is tossed onto the ground before a congregation of the Nebunese. Its one eye shattered, its limbs twisted, and its intricate internal design ruptured and pulled from its insides. Nebu tribesmen look down upon it. A powerful yet elegant voice echoes through the halls of the Nebula Council's chambers and fill the ears of the highly intelligent and melanated citizens of Nebu. This is the second Anarchy Gorgon we have discovered on our land. It is without a doubt Anarchy 12 is plotting on conquering Nebu as he has Haven. This bold claim is spoken by none other than Serenity Funoichi, the High Pillar of the Nebula Council, substituting as the sole leader for some time now. Her skin white as snow, her hair red as fire. Serenity was the adoptive daughter of the displaced Beast King, Void Makai, who was gone missing. Without memory of previous cycles, the Nebu people have partial memory of the myth and the legend, but it was common knowledge that Serenity was his daughter, justifying her position. It was law, and it was so. The Nebula Council backed and supported her rightful seat, as did Tempest. She was righteous and pure, just as her father was. However, despite her lineage and backing, she was challenged and met with great adversity from a large majority of the tribe. Serenity was obviously not Nebunese, and many saw her unfit and refused to be led by a red-headed Dulaman. The renowned and feared leader of the venomous tribe, Amanda V, steps forth and spews her distaste for Serenity's observation. What do you know about conquest, Dulaman? You have yet to conquer the respect of my tribe, let alone countless others. Amanda hisses. This triggers her tribe to get riled up, and soon after, a few more angered and bitter tribesmen. Serenity raises her voice. Stand down, I'm not finished. Amanda interrupts the High Pillar. No, you stand down, Dulaman. The trial of wolves approaches, and when it does, I will cast you down, and Nebu will be led by a true Nebu paragon. Majority of the tribesmen raise their weapons, roar, and cheer for the Snake Woman. Serenity feels the hate and is slightly disheartened. She didn't ask for this responsibility and only stands strong because her father would have wanted her to. The Nebula Council glance over to the Nebu warrior and protector standing beside Serenity, giving him the signal to step in. Vector Issa, the fiercest warrior from the Pantho tribe, protector of the council and beholder of the shaman's talisman, steps forth and flexes his willpower, causing the air to become heavy as a gravitational field expands over the people, tugging them toward the planet and locking them in place. Vector shouts, "Silence!" His long dreads tremble from the base of his voice, and his purple irises set themselves onto Amanda V, who backs down once the gravity field ceases. Vector worries. His presence has been required more often lately than ever, as the tribe grows more defiant in the absence of a true Nebu leader. He loves his niece, but even he knows Nebu cannot strive without a true Chi Beast beholder. Attempts have been made on her life, warranting Vector to remain by her side around the clock. He suspects Amanda V is behind the attacks but cannot prove it. She's been known for her shady dealings in Haven's underground as well as Nebu trade agreements. So he puts nothing behind the snake woman. She was quite literally a snake, and most certainly a formidable and worthy leader. Vector turns to Serenity after everyone quiets down. Serenity continues her speech. She addresses the growing tension between Haven, Dorinthia, Raylagar, and Nebu. It is a known fact that Haven is in disarray and has become a jungle, and she feels that anarchy will set it ablaze, and soon after, every other country as well. Serenity has spent the past month trying to gain the support from her people to send forces to Haven and help Tempest reestablish control with his G-types. But the tribe refuses, not because they disagree, but because they refuse to be led by her. Serenity surely thought evidence of anarchy's infiltration would bolster support, but that is just not the case. Amanda V steps forward and points at Serenity and all of the council, including Vector. The night of the trials will mark the day, Dulamen. The venomous tribe raise their weapons and roar in a threatening manner. Vector steps forward once again, this time backed by his personal guard of several cloaked figures. For the next half hour, all parties shout and debate, not of urgent matters threatening Nebu, but of matters pertaining to Nebu leadership. Another day in the council chambers wasted with no progress. All this is seen through the eye of a Gorgon bot miles away, perched on a spire looking over the technologically advanced city of Nebu. Later that night, we cut to the High Pillar's chambers. Serenity stands on the balcony overlooking the beautiful city of Nebu, a hybrid of masterwork stone, nature, precious metals, and technology. The aroma of Nebunese delicacies pollute the night sky. Serenity looks to the stars, pondering her origins, and can't help but feel like she is normal. Clenched between her fingers, a flower native to her land, limp and dying. It reminded her of her country, Nebu. We see Vector standing not too far, watching her stress. A hooded companion of his arrives to his side with a message. The figure uncloaks himself, revealing it to be none other than Shiro Aoi. In fact, the entire personal guard of Vector were Shiro clones. Shiro informs Vector that Void Makai is approaching. The first time Vector was informed of Makai's reemergence and reincarnation as Beast King, he was skeptical. But tonight he would be able to see for himself. Although, he had just hoped Serenity was prepared to see her father in his new body. Serenity is startled by Nebu battle horns and alarms, alerting everyone to the airborne anomaly approaching. She sees the gallant and flaming Chi-Beast dragon heading toward her balcony as she runs over to Vector, who watches in awe. Vector calms her and tells her it's okay. Confused, Serenity turns back around and watches as the dragon lands, and leaping off of it, the Beast King himself, Void Makai Funaichi. She asks, "What's the meaning of this, Vector?" Vector's eyes set on the massive, chiseled Beast King. Just like the scriptures describe Tetsuya, he was enormous, noble, and majestic. Vector walks toward him, followed by Shiro. Void Makai smiles at Shiro's fiery clone and thanks him for giving everyone the heads up. He then looks over to Vector. "Cousin Vector, my brother." Vector immediately can sense Makai, his long-lost brother, in arms. Deep from within, a tear almost makes its way out of his eye but evaporates from the heat of his resolve and excitement. Vector and Makai perform their Nebu handshake and hug each other tight. Brothers reunited. Makai points at the shaman's talisman around Vector's neck. "I couldn't think of a more worthy beholder of the talisman, Brother V." Vector smiles and throws a jab into Void Makai's rib and tells him that worthy is an understatement. Makai, towering over Vector, looks past him and sees his daughter all grown up. The picture of the 15-year-old did no justice. Makai walks toward his daughter slowly and calls out her name, Serenity approaches him uncertain of his true identity. It felt like a dream standing before the almighty Tetsuya Beast King. But once the stench of abyss hits her, she is immediately flooded with repressed memories of Ivan Bakara carrying her as a baby, and the same smell of nothingness that plagued Makai when he held her before departing back to Haven to fight the light still lingers upon him now. Void Makai extends his arm and Serenity runs into it, hugging her father. Reunited at last, Void Makai tells her he is here to stay. The group spends the rest of the night confiding in one another and catching up on all that has happened since Void Makai's absence. Makai learns that in the absence of a true leader, one capable of taming and harboring a chi beast, the council is able to appoint the next of kin into a high pillar position to lead Nebu until a beast king or queen could be appointed by way of a chi beast trial. With major influence from Tempest, the Hope of Haven, and the Nebula Council, Serenity had become the high pillar at the age of 14. This, of course, was met with a major pushback, with more than half of the Nebu nation calling for her to step down and even attempting to claim her life. This hurts Makai when he hears it. The thought of her own nation wanting to kill her made him sympathize with his daughter. Makai himself wasn't a full-blooded Nebunese man and was half Dorinthian, but not only was this not common knowledge, it just wasn't as obvious as the Dulaman people's stark features. We cut to Vector and Makai standing in the plains. Exotic Nebu wildlife can be seen grazing in complete peace. Vector unfolds all of his gathered tactical intelligence unto Makai. He keeps it real and briefs Makai on everything from Serenity's failures, shortcomings, and moments of doubt, all the way to her accomplishments and the hate that she received for them despite being what was best for Nebu. Makai looks into the sun. He knows what he must do. Reclaim his rightful seat as sole leader and relieve his daughter of the burden. Vector knows this as well, but he reminds Makai that Serenity has spent the past 2 summers attempting to move Nebu forces into Haven during their downfall. The campaign meant a lot to her. Vector recommended that Makai see it through. Makai ponders the thought of it. Vector's gamma mutation manifested in the form of ultra intelligence. He goes on to describe in depth how efficient Serenity's plan is and the benefits it could bring for Nebu as well as Haven. A flock of hybrid beast machines resembling falcons with cybernetic wingspans glide over them, casting rain cloud-sized shadows. Makai spectates, reminiscing of when his mother would bring him to the plains, along with young Vector, to watch the lions rip the beast machines from the sky, or be plucked from the planet themselves. There was always prey in the circle of life in Nebu, and either party had equal odds of being eaten. That was the beauty of it all, he thinks. We cut to Makai and Serenity waiting outside the halls of the Nebula Council. Vector exits their chambers with a hopeful expression upon his face. Well? Makai asks. Vector informs him that the council has accepted his claim to the seat as sole leader of Nebu, and were overjoyed to hear that a true Beast King will again rule. Serenity exhales in relief. The fear of Amanda V usurping her in pursuit of the throne has been cast aside. She changes the subject and reminds Makai of Nebu politics involved with pursuing the throne. Makai didn't need a refresher as he was very knowledgeable in both Dorinthian and Nebu traditions. Makai will need a patron tribe to accompany him to the throne. He turns to Vector, who smirks. then performs his tribe's hand gesture and states that he, Vector Issa of the Pantho tribe, will back him. Serenity claps her hands in excitement. Makai and Vector shake hands and Makai thanks him. Then he taunts Vector. On second thought, you're looking out of shape, sir. How am I sure you're capable of watching my back? Vector's eyes glow purple as he smirks. We cut to a heated exhibition between Makai and Vector. Vector can be seen throwing a barrage of accurate and sharp strikes while circling Makai. The Nebunese martial arts were savage and direct, and Vector delivered them flawlessly. Typically, limbs would break trying to parry such blows, but Makai was such a specialist, his form combined with impeccable timing allowed him to parry every strike with the same arm. The talisman Vector wore possessed him with the spirit of the shamans of old, granting him their combat prowess, wisdom, and ancient affinity towards the gravitational pull of the planet. Vector wails away at Makai's impenetrable defenses, his eyes glowing right along with his talisman. Makai compliments Vector on his conditioning and sharp skill, then proceeds to deflect Vector's punch and sends a strike of his own into Vector's jaw, rocking him. Pow! Using that momentum, Vector spins off of the punch and chops Makai in the head, but he is unfazed by it as another fist comes crashing into Vector's stomach, stunning him as he is then leg sweeped and suplexed onto the beautiful lavender fields below them. Vector hits the ground hard, but immediately manipulates gravity, causing his body to bounce off of the ground, defying physics, and sends a powerful uppercut into Makai's chin, causing him to lose footing. Vector then possesses Makai's legs, forcing him to trip forward into Vector's 4-hit combo that ends with a flourishing spinning elbow. Vector's elbow rests in the face of Makai as the two stop for a second. Makai can feel the strength surging through Vector and smiles around the elbow. At lightning speed, Makai grabs and twists Vector's arm, shattering his wrist, then whips him around into a knee strike Vector takes to the stomach. Vector flips over his knee while escaping from the arm lock and sends 2 sharp punches into Makai's beard. Then gravity pulls Makai into a massive headbutt. Pow! That hurt Vector more than it did Makai. Makai recovers faster than he does, plants both of his feet into the ground, and throws several punches from mid-range that disperse purple chi waves of force that land true into Vector's chest. Makai's fist imprints dig deep, but the fortuitous Vector holds his ground. Suddenly, Makai then blasts himself in the face with 2 unexpected chi punches, disorienting him while under control of Vector's body possession, who then forces Makai to flip himself onto the ground. But suddenly, Vector spews up blood and collapses instantly. Makai hits the ground and rolls over, laughing, unaware of his sparring partner's condition. He sits up and sees Vector incapacitated, gushing blood from his mouth. Vector! We cut to Makai, Serenity, and the Nebula Council congregating outside of the hospital. Thanks to Serenity, healthcare, genetics, and life sciences have been made into Nebu's specialty. With the help of the world's top geneticists and bioscientists, Nebu was able to remedy the many negative effects of gamma mutation and famines that overcame G-types. This was all made possible by their most skilled scientist, Ninja Bello, who once was employed by Bloodvein Dynasty until the Roaring Dragons came and raided their labs. In addition to Energerai suit schematics, Makai and the Roaring Dragons also took any and all useful scientists. She was one of them. Ninja Bello arrives from leaving Vector's hospital room. She assures them that Vector will be fine. Typing into her hollow gauntlet, she brings up a radiant display of Vector's vitals. She points to his heart and arms, revealing dark blotches within his body. She explains to Makai, the Council, and Serenity that it is a mysterious abyssal cancer that he had contracted from possessing Makai's tainted body. Makai feels terrible for this, and asks for reassurance that he'll be okay. Ninja confirms. When it came to genetics and biology, nothing was out of her scope, and so he trusted her. The council warns Makai that many of the Nebu people fear that you have been corrupted and are unfit to house our chi beast gods within you and plan to vote against you for that very reason. Serenity lowers her head. She too has heard the rumors of people fearing Makai may become corrupted and disappear again. Makai made a deal with Ivan of the Abyss. He knows he can't shake away the abyssal void in his heart and soul for anyone unless he were to die. Ninja Bello steps in and places a deal on the table. She promises to alter his genetics so that he is immune to the negative genetic tampering, thus making him more resilient to mass mutation and all of the ills usually found in Haven. The council agrees this in turn will shortly ease the minds of the people. Ninja takes it further and requests that she be made into Nebu's appointed lead geneticist and given her own lab when he becomes sole leader of Nebu. Makai has no issue agreeing to these terms, as Ninja has proven herself time and time again and has been a real loyal companion of Serenity's for some time. Ninja is a bit rough around the edges and not only buries her excitement but also hides her deep admiration for Makai and his will to lead. She tells Makai to report to the lab as soon as possible so they can begin before it's time to appoint him to the seat the next day. Before going into surgery, Makai visits Vector in his bed. Vector greets him and the two critique each other's prowess from their last sparring session. Vector can't fathom how Makai is able to remember every single martial art and apply it to its best capacity in the middle of a fight. Some serious combat IQ. Makai jokes and states that Vector's old man shaman moves are outdated. Before departing, he informs Vector that when he becomes sole leader tomorrow, he will appoint Vector as head of Nebu defenses. Vector is honored by his cousin's decision and faith in him, and he accepts. The day arrives and we cut to the council standing before the Nebu people, all dressed in ceremonial garb. Whenever there was a Nebunese woman or man who possessed a chi beast god, they were immediately entitled to become sole leader of Nebu. We see Void Makai standing by the council. Around his neck an ornament hangs, symbolizing he is in fact the beholder of a chi beast. The people praise him. The mighty Beast King has returned. Serenity and Vector peer into the ocean of people and see a good portion not so ecstatic. We see Amanda V and her tribesmen off to the right with their rifles tossed over their shoulders, and they look like they can't wait for this bullshit to be over. Amanda V makes eye contact with Makai as two large snakes, one neon blue, the other neon pink, affectionately traverse up and down her shoulder and arms. She breaks eye contact with him during their stare down when the dark chi within him overwhelms her. The eldest Nebu councilwoman is escorted to the front stage. Another robed councilman comes and whispers the results into her ear, which triggers her face to drop in awe. The elder woman glances back at the rest of the council as if to think to herself, How could they have betrayed the Beast King like this? Makai is confused by her reaction, as is Serenity. The elder turns to everyone. The Nebu majority wish not to be led by Makai Funaichi. Everyone in the crowd gasps. The council has decided to allow Amanda V to partake in the trial of the wolf in order to obtain a chi beast and challenge Makai for the throne. Serenity, shocked, turns to the council, who appear ashamed for vouching for such a vile and dishonorable tribe. Vector is in disbelief. He had a feeling Amanda V would sabotage the process and figures they must have done so while he was in the hospital. Serenity runs up to her father and asks what's next. Void Makai watches Amanda V and her people make their way through the crowd and up onto the stage as many boo, but many hiss in favor of the snake manipulating G-Type. Amanda holds up one finger, symbolizing to Makai the number of days until the trial of the wolf. She then glides her finger across her neck, symbolizing murder, as the Nebu people chant.